Okay, good to go.
Good evening. My name is Huey Miller. I am the Vacancy Board Chair for the Exeter Township. This meeting is on Monday, the 26th of 2021. In this meeting, the first thing I'll do is call to order. And then also right now, just going to have a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our next part of business is a roll call. Just wanted to see if everybody is here. Greg Galtier. Here. David Spence.
Here.
Michelle Kirchner. Not here. And Joseph Stout.
Here.
Okay, so we'll just go ahead. Is there in this moment, I just wanted to see if there's any public comment. So Lori, is there any public comments?
There were none submitted.
There was none submitted. So just to kind of give you an idea, we're going to be interviewing a total of 4 people for this position. We're going to start the process right now. The rules of the particular process is candidates are allocated 20 minutes to answer the questions that were pre-provided in advance. And then the board will get 10 minutes to any follow-up questions for each candidate. The questions are as such, so you can kind of get an idea of what they need to have in their presentation. Please tell us your professional background, why you are interested in being a supervisor, and what skills you bring to the position. That's number 1. Number 2, please share any involvement you've had in the community. Number 3, what's your thoughts concerning supervisors' involvement in social media? And number 4, what's your top priorities in the township? The first person that is going to be on the list of interviews is David Hughes. We will actually have him on right now. I guess he can join the meeting. Is that okay?
Yep. 1 second.
Mr. Hughes, can you hear me? I think you're on mute.
How's that?
That's much better, sir. Thank you. So, Mr. Hughes, we have given you 20 minutes of your time to answer the questions that we pre-did. You'll get a 2-minute warning at the end if you want to use up the full 20 minutes. And then there's going to be a 10-minute question and answer after that. Is that okay?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So I'll just go ahead and we can go ahead and proceed.
All right. The first question has 3 parts. First part is you'd like to know my professional background. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration, Bachelor's of Science in Accounting. I'm a certified management accountant and a certified financial manager, which are international designations through the Institute of Management Accountants and the Association of Accountants and Financial Professionals. I have a Series 6 license, which is currently inactive, but I used it when I was doing financial planning. I have a real estate license with the state of California, which is also inactive, which I used when I was doing my mortgage business. I'm an entrepreneur. I started a consulting business in the 80s where I consulted on cost management, inventory control, cost accounting systems, and inventory valuations. I was a highly sought after consultant in Silicon Valley. I also started a business. I was the CEO, a service business where I brought together accountants, management, engineers, manufacturing, and legal people, and we provided turnaround services for public and private companies. So it takes care of one. Part B, why am I interested in being a supervisor? Well, first of all, I think this is the best use of my skill set. I don't think there'll be any other candidate that can match the skills and the experience that I'm going to share with you. That's number one. I've got 4 things I want to point out here. That was the first one. I want to bring transparency to our government and our community. This is something that the recently elected supervisors promised but failed to do. Number 3, I want to prevent future costly mistakes. And some of those examples are lawsuits, like the lawsuit that cost us $200,000 because we violated Americans with Disabilities Act. The Running Country Club liquor license, which cost us over $4 million, could have been avoided completely. And the sewer plant, you know, we sold that asset for, in my opinion, 4 reasons: to pay for the RCC settlement, to pay for the promenade, to cover up significant mismanagement of township finances, and to finance these elaborate buildings they plan to build at the promenade and waterfront community. And finally, the 4th one is I want to organize our government and upgrade the personnel. I want to prevent some of the things that happened in the past, like the 2019 DCED report that was signed by our finance director, and she committed a fraud, but no one seems to be concerned about it. And also like the recent audit notice, where we published a balance sheet that was out of balance. It wasn't even in the proper format. And then things like this executive notice that we got for this particular meeting early on, where we were told that you would adjourn and go into an executive session. Only I informed you that that was against the Sunshine Act, then that was changed. So these are some of the things that our government should be more aware of and cautious about what they do. Finally, part 3 of C of your first question, skills to the position. And again, no candidate here will be able to match my skills and experience. And some say I'm overqualified, but I say that is nonsense, because you can't be overqualified for this position, but you can certainly be underqualified. Number 3, they had the Albright program for excellence in government provided for newly elected supervisors training. Mr. Staub, Mr. Gaultier, and Ms. Kircher attended that. Well, I also attended that. So I've got, if everything was equal among the candidates, I've got this on them. And that training was for reorganization meetings, executive sessions, and financial reporting. No other candidate can say that they've had this training. I also have vast experience in accounting and finance. I was highly sought in Silicon Valley about my financing skills, including companies like Apple and Raytheon and Maxtor. My management experience. I've worked in large organizations. I had satellite management responsibility in places like Austin and Portland, Oregon at the same time, so I'm very adept at that. One of the best things I think I will bring to this community is my leadership skills. We have no leaders in government today. There's just a consensus of people, actually 3 or 4 people who are against one of the other supervisors. There's no leadership. And I think I have the skills to bring that to the table. International business experience. I traveled extensively through South America, Mexico, all parts of Asia, India, Malaysia, Singapore, China, Taiwan, the Philippines. I negotiated multi-million-dollar contracts for raw materials such as silicon wafers, for assembly services in Malaysia and the Philippines. I have examined and I have followed the township activities for over 2 years. and I am intimately aware of all the things that are going on and the activities in this community. And finally, number 9, to be a good supervisor, you have to understand 1933 Act 69, the second-class township statute. You've got to know that. You also have to be familiar with the Ethics Act, and you have to be familiar with the Sunshine Act. You can't responsibly sit there and make decisions and act if you're not aware of those 3 acts. I'll go on to number 2. You're asking me about community involvement. Well, there's no question in my mind or anyone else's mind that my activities in this community is that I'm an activist. And my activist activities are basically watching the township supervisors and trying to hold them responsible for their decisions and their activities. I do a lot of right-to-know requests, and there's been complaints about that, claiming that I'm costing the township money, but that's true. They've decided to spend money on it. But the Office of Open Records, on their last appeal that they appealed in my favor, they made a comment, and I think it's important that people hear this. They said that the right to know is to empower citizens by affording them access to information concerning activities of their government. Further, this important open government law is to promote access to official government information in order to prohibit secrets and scrutinize actions of the public officials and make public officials accountable for their actions. This is what I do in my community. But it doesn't stop there. I make donations to various charities, including my fraternity brothers, Danny Thomas of St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. Upon my death, they will be receiving a significant amount of my wealth. I also make donations to the Heart and Lung Foundation and the Diabetes Foundation. I also, when I lived in Fremont, California, I was on a nonprofit organization, which is similar to the ECF, Exeter Community Education Foundation. I did that for many years. The third question, what are your thoughts concerning supervisors' involvement in social media? Well, the supervisor's already involved in social media. You had a former supervisor whose chair is open, Mr. Cusatis. He loved to take advantage of it, although he did it the wrong way. I believe it's a personal decision, but you have to be aware of who you are and who you represent. Mr. Cusatis attacked people in his community viciously in social media, on Facebook, in the meetings, and he was relentless. He will not be missed. So supervisors can use media to their advantage to inform the public and to answer questions, I think, very efficiently. And you have your own Facebook page now. And private citizens, we can use it to watch the system, watch the supervisors, report on them, and express our opinions on whether we feel that our government is doing the right thing or not. Finally, number 4, top priorities. Well, you know, it's no surprise when I say that my first priority would be to clean up the Board of Supervisors. They've done various things to me and other people. For example, a former chairperson tried to stop public comment. Maybe spending too much time in China made him think that he could control freedom of speech. But there's other things like the Promenade Project. They don't believe it will cost $40 million, but if you look at their RFP and they want to do everything that's in there, it's going to cost $40 million. But they mislead the public. They claim, well, we don't have a plan yet. This is 2 years later. You don't have a plan. You don't have an idea of what you want to build. And it reminds me of what Will Rogers said. A vision without a plan is an hallucination. And that's what we have right now with the promenade. And it's going to cost everyone a lot of tax dollars if you build that. My second thing is I want to improve and increase our employee skills. Our Granger did us a great injustice because he hired people that were not qualified to do the jobs they're doing. And he liked it because they would have to run to him and ask him, what should I do? What should I do? Our employees are underqualified, particularly in the finance area. This audit issue right now, I did a video. I sent it to a couple of you. It's available publicly on ExeterUnited.com. The DCED has it. They sent it to legal. They're reviewing it. So I think we need to improve the skills there drastically. Number three, and this is, I put it as number three because it's one of the last things I want to talk about. It's important. I want to ensure that the police and the fire departments are well prepared concerning their needs and their safety in public, and that we provide them for continued safety of the public with anything they need. That has to be our top priority. Finally, I'd like to say that I know that I will not be chosen. There's no way that you would put me on the board. I have to fight my way on. Thanks to our government, you've eliminated the choice of the people. And Mr. Gaultier continues to try to prevent me from obtaining the Republican nomination, cheating every person in this community the opportunity of choice. And it reflects on all of you that you've done this. I walk through the community, I talk to people, and I want to tell you something. They are angry. You can say whatever you want to say, but I can tell you from experience, they are angry. And so I want to finally take the time, actually, to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my experience, to my opinion. And I want everyone to watch as you guys deliberate on who you're going to choose. I predict it's going to be Todd Arnold. And I want to say good luck to all the candidates. And Todd, be careful what you wish for. Thank you.
David Hughes, Mr. Hughes, thank you for your time. I truly appreciate your volunteer, time to be involved in this and putting your hand in the ballot to do this. Is there any questions by anybody on the board?
Well, I have a question. I'd like to ask you if I could I just thought of something else. I'd like to ask everyone to write me in on the Republican ticket so that I can run against Mr. Gaultier in the election in November.
Is there any further?
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay, I guess we should move on to now the next candidate, if he's available. Is it okay if we start 10 minutes early for the next candidate? Lauren?
Yes, that should be fine. He is on the meeting. If I could just have 1 second. Michelle is trying to join and she's just having a little bit of
Sure. No
technical
problem.
difficulty.
Can you hear us now?
Wonderful. Hello.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for joining, so we could put on record that you are now present as well. You missed the first interview, but you definitely will be for the other last three candidates. We have on the next one Todd Arnold.
Okay, and I'm going to bring him in right now.
Thank you.
Which
Hello.
Hi, Todd. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
I'm doing wonderful.
Hello.
Thanks for coming in. Virtually doing the meeting today. We've allotted for you 20 minutes to answer the four questions that we gave to you. And then after that, there's a 10-minute question and answer. So if you are ready to go ahead and get started, I think Jeff is timing you just in case you go over. We'll give you a 2-minute warning. But we can go ahead and get things started. Is that okay, Todd?
That's great. That's great. Thank you for the opportunity to be considered for this important role for the township. I think my answers will be brief enough to afford us a lot of time for questions. So that I feel that's most important to get to know somebody is the questioning process. But to start with, on the first question, my professional experience, spent the last 21 years in the transportation industry. I worked for UPS for 10, FedEx for 10, and a family-owned company for a year. I'm currently at a software startup company that provides transportation as well, and working real hard in sales for all those companies. I had my career. The interest I have in being on the supervisor position is I'm very appreciative of all the people who have come before and represented all the residents of the township and represented the township well. And I think I feel like it's my turn to give back, to give to the township. I've lived here pretty much my whole life. And I feel like my open-mindedness and ability to listen to a lot of different ideas and people's opinions will serve me well to represent the community and the entire community. My skills. I think the most important skills I possess are my people skills, my emotional intelligence skills. All my experience working in the transportation industry, especially working for UPS in my early days, and FedEx, it's the very large companies. They have very, very many rules, regulations, and guidance that we must follow while we try to achieve our own goals and achieve the goals of our teammates. I think that basically as a supervisor, it's a similar type of role. You have to really be cognizant and take time to understand whatever guidance and rules are in place and make decisions accordingly, and not try to stray outside of those rules. So in that regard, on the flip side, being in sales, I'm exposed to and I get to participate with a variety of different people, personalities, roles in the business, all having different goals and whether they be the company goals that I I'm working with or their own personal goals. I think that lends itself to pretty solid people skills and a good understanding of what helps people think the way they think. But just to rattle off some, the open-mindedness is important. I'm very analytical. I look at numbers, I can evaluate numbers, and I can also understand how those numbers can impact projects. I take on leadership roles and responsibilities and help others to achieve goals. I feel like I'm very accountable, and I think a really big one is a strong positive attitude about everything. I'm always striving to find what is good about a situation or how can we make it better, not try to determine why it's not going well or why it, is wrong or bad. And that's not easy to do in the transportation industry because, as you've all probably experienced this past Christmas, it's usually a lot of stuff going wrong and a lot of people very unhappy. So thick skin, understand how to handle that kind of stuff. And I think that's also an important skill to have if you're in a public role like this. On the community involvement. Way back when my kids were a little younger, I was on the Exeter Little League board. I volunteered to coach the youth at the Little League, Exeter Youth Football. I think I got involved in soccer, even though I didn't know anything about soccer. Also, I did volunteer at the Rifton Fire Company back several years ago. The social quarters. It was an act passed by Pennsylvania that determined that you had to really strictly account for the revenues you were earning on your gambling devices, your games of chance. And I saw that as an opportunity. And there was also a strict guidance on how you were to donate that money to charities. And I saw that as an opportunity to become involved, make sure that the social quarters followed those guidelines, and we got monies out to charities beyond the fire department. It was basically I was a trustee, and then I was also the treasurer for a little bit. I'm very much involved in Helping Harvest, which is a local, the local food bank for Berks and Schuylkill. I volunteer there as much as I can, given my schedule, and I appreciate our local Exeter food pantry and the Hack Away at Hunger. I participate in that as well. On the social media, I personally am not involved really in social media. I have a LinkedIn account, and that's about it. I guess my viewpoint on it is I think that social media is a very powerful tool if it's used properly to inform others, to inform the community, to keep truthful, fact-based items out there, as far as from a supervisory role or a social media platform of sorts. I don't intend to participate in social media. As far as, I don't do it now, so I don't expect to do it in the future. But I do appreciate those that, like to use social media, like to be on the social media platforms. And I think the township has taken a good role in their Facebook page and getting information out, and also the newsletter. I think the transition to the electronic newsletter was a good way to, basically put media out there that informs and in a more, I think, newer manner. I think it's also good that, I guess in a responsible role as a supervisor, you almost have to not turn a blind eye to the social media, because I think you can appreciate where there's some pain points for the community, or where some people are stressed and gathering momentum about things they're unhappy about. So it also can afford that. But too often it gets a little extreme, but you just have to be kind of understand and see that. Look for the truth and the emotion and the motivation behind what might be going on social media. My priorities would be, number one, one of my top priorities is I want to make sure, or I'd like to see us not have any tax increases, over the course of the next many years. Fiscal responsibility, I think, evaluating budgets and the money that's being spent on the needs of the community, of the township, thoroughly, asking all the appropriate questions to make sure we're doing that as a steward. Second priority would be to promote the township. As a sales guy, I see the township as a great place to do business, a great place to live. I think we're doing a better job of promoting Exeter Township. I would love to be, in a supervisory role, to be able to promote it even harder and more. I'd like to see us or promote new businesses that keep. We have a lot of, income here that goes across town for dinner, for entertainment. I'd like to see us develop some more opportunities here in our own neighborhood for that. Lastly, I think it's very important to protect the assets we have, township-owned assets, parks. The country club is a very strong asset. It's got a lot of history. I think history is very important to the township. Part of this is also the owned property at the promenade. This is a critical next phase coming, and I think it is going to be very important to have a lot of open-mindedness about the path we take and appreciate a lot of different input and views as it's decided what happens with that property and how we move forward. And we make sure that we do it in a responsible way to everybody. Again, I'm thankful to be in the consideration process here. I appreciate your time taken as part of this longer meeting to have us all come before you. I welcome all the questions you have because I really think we can learn more that way about myself. Gary?
think I think we might have lost.
Gary?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yes, I don't see him. Give me 1 second.
I must have put him to sleep. He fell asleep on his keyboard and he went blank. Sorry, Gary.
He's coming back.
Are there any plans to get back together for the meetings rather than the Zoom?
With the restrictions still in place, not that I should speak for the board, but we've been watching the restrictions, and that's why we still stayed virtual
Gotcha.
for now. Our meeting room doesn't accommodate very many people with the current restrictions.
That's true.
I see him trying to come back.
There it goes.
All right, sorry about that. I lost my internet for a second there. So, thank you so much, Mr. Arnold. Is there any questions from anyone on the board?
Todd,
No?
can you go a little bit more? Am I muted? No. Can you talk a little bit more about your plans, what you feel we should do with the promenade, Todd?
I have not come to any conclusions about the promenade and what I feel we should do with it. I think there's too much, as far as, in my opinion, I haven't gathered enough information to know what we should do. I mean, and furthermore, I think there's still a lot of planning going on to evaluate what we should do. So, I mean, that would be hard for me to take a position.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions?
Michelle's muted.
Okay.
I think
Michelle, you're muted. There you go.
I'd like to know how long you've been on the planning commission board.
I believe it's 14 months now.
That's
Well,
good.
I was remiss, and I forgot about the Economic Development Committee I was on too prior. I can't think of the years, but I did about a year or so on that, and then I think they dismantled it, but I had stepped aside, and then they dismantled it shortly after that. But yeah, I participated in that as well. So thanks for reminding me of those those things I was helping out.
Oh, what other questions do I have?
All right. Any further questions?
I don't have any now. I do want to, Todd, tell you, I hope you stay on there a long time for the planning commission.
Oh yeah,
It's a very rewarding feeling.
it's been good. When people come on, trying to help and give them a little guidance, but there's still those rules that need to be followed and such. So
That's correct.
Yeah, I would echo the same, Todd. I mean, yeah, thank you. I mean, you stepped up and raised your hand a couple times, and then you finally got put on the planning commission. So thank you for being persistent and helping out.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Any more questions at all?
None for me. Thank you.
Fine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, well, Todd, thank you for your time and energy in coming in tonight and putting your hat in the ballot, basically. And I truly appreciate your time and energy on this one. And I guess we'll go to the next candidate in the process. Thank you once again, Todd. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
Okay, now we're going to go to, if I could find my pieces of paper all over my desk right now. Okay, Jeff Piho, is that correct? I mean, sorry, John or Jack Piho. Is he available?
Yes, he is. I will let him in right now.
Okay. Hi, John. Can you hear me?
Hi, everybody can hear me? Am I on?
Yes, you
Thank
are.
you.
So should I say Jack or John? What's the right one?
You can hurry, you can call me Jack. Everybody calls me Jack, that's fine.
All right, thank you, Jack. I appreciate it. Just wanted to let you know we allotted 20 minutes of your time, of time to answer the questions provided to you in advance, and then after that, we're going to have a 10-minute question and answer for any for the board to answer any questions. Is that okay? Jack, can you hear me? Jack, Can you hear me, Jack?
I can.
It's all good.
All right, hang on. Yeah. For some reason, my Zoom went to a minimal view.
Oh,
And I'm not sure why. And I've tried adjusting it. So if you guys can see me and hear me okay, we're just gonna go with it. How's that?
I can see you and hear you okay. I appreciate
Wonderful.
it.
All right, because I don't see myself now I did earlier. So I'm going to leave everything the way it is. Okay. First off, thank you everybody for allowing me to apply for the Board of Supervisor position. I'll go down through it. The first item or first question was, please tell us your professional background, why you're interested in being a supervisor, and what skills you would bring to the position. Okay. I started answering this question as, why do I want to become a supervisor? Bluntly, I feel I can be a major asset to the Board of Supervisors with my technical, financial, and managerial skills. I know how to read codes and regulations and how they must be applied. I have experience in doing so all over the state of Pennsylvania and the USA and internationally. My background in dealing with people at all levels in business and government entities allow me to effectively communicate with them. My experience with budgets will be an asset to the township. I have served on multiple board of directors of local, national, and international organizations. I'm an effective communicator with all levels of personnel. It includes the guy working on the floor or digging a ditch up to a president of a company or an owner. As a professional engineer, I must follow a code of ethics outlined by Pennsylvania, and every time I put my name to a document, I'm also putting my reputation and integrity on that line. And yes, I'm willing to do that for Exeter Township. And the last part of that, why? And I get the job done that is assigned. You assign me a task, it will get done. Okay. Next part of that, number one, was Piho background. Okay. My family, my wife and I have been a resident of Exeter Township since March 2002 at our current address. I have a BS in engineering management from York College, a BS in mechanical engineering from Johns Hopkins University, and I believe it was one course away from an MBA at York College. I've been the owner of my own engineering firm, Piho Engineering, for now over 18 years. We build, process, and do refrigeration system design. We work with OSHA, EPA, in USA, Canada. We've done work offshore in China, South America, Central America, Canada's not offshore, and of course, Mexico. Work with codes and regulations all the time with Department of Environmental Protection, DEP, OSHA, EPA. I'm also an expert consultant for OSHA and EPA, and I interface with them for compliance with my customers. I do regulatory and code reviews for clients. I'm also an expert witness for lawyers and government entities. And of course, I'm very familiar with the Pennsylvania Uniform Construction Code and dealing with L&I and local governmental entities and code enforcement officials. I'm not going to go through my professional registration, but I am a registered engineer in multiple states, including Pennsylvania. I have managed projects in excess of $10 million, including contractors, design professionals up to 50 people. I've worked in every state in the United States of America, and I'm a frequent lecturer on codes and regulations at engineering conferences. I'm also a consultant, as I mentioned, on code issues. I'm affiliated with a number of professional organizations, and that would cover number one. Number two, please share any involvement you've had in the community. Unfortunately, everybody, that is, I have tried over the last couple of years to get appointed to the Board of Supervisors, the Planning Commission, or Zoning Board vacancies unsuccessfully. But I have tried, and I do participate with the Zoom. I'm one of the handful of people that do watch the various Planning Commission, Board of Supervisor, and Zoning Board meetings. My only other involvement is that. Typically, when I do view, it seems to be I'm only about the 4 to 7 that do. I wish there would be more, but there isn't. I do umpire baseball still for PIAA, which would be high school ball, and Legion currently. I still do that, but I've reduced it to just that level. I'm also, as I think a lot of you already know, I'm involved with our local gun club as a secretary treasurer, which involves me with the zoning, with the zoning committee, with the zoning and planning committees, as well as the zoning office, and also interfacing with the police, our police agency. Number three, what are your thoughts concerning the supervisor's involvement in social media? This is a loaded question. Let me first start with my observations. From the verbal comments I have heard over the past year from the public that are read or played at various township meetings, many residents don't really understand or know why a decision may have been made or the background of it. I do not see that easily being changed, being blown. The social media world we now live in allows comments to be made by many individuals and express their feelings, thoughts, and opinions. Some of them are based in fact, and others at times what is perceived. How do you minimize the perceptions is the question. Online does not work, as only a small handful will read it. With approximately 25,000 residents, 2019 census, with approximately 18,000 of those residents over age 18 and just under 10,000 housing units, there should be much more interest in what's happening in the township versus the handful currently, but that is reality. That's reality. The makeup of the township lends itself to a combined newsletter electronically and mail. I would suggest bi-monthly. The article should cover each township department, what they're doing with contact info. Should also include future plans. The reason I say this is 93% of the township households have a computer. Let's figure out a way to effectively communicate. Are we effective now? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'd like to find out. 4, what are your top 3 priorities? First one would be fiscal responsibility, as the other candidates have said. Are we being good stewards with our money? What are true costs of projects or decisions being made? Have we covered all the bases? Let's ask questions and be sure we're making the right decision. Our rates have increased dramatically, as an example, for sewer and water use. Let's be sure the money from the sewer sale is used wisely. Are we training our key personnel? I believe I heard that earlier also. Do we need additional training? Should we be evaluating that? I think we should all the time. I have to do training every year for every state that I have a license in to be current. Second is growth. The township population only grew 1.7% from 2010 to 2019. Why? Why was it only 1.7%? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Let's look at the demographics. available properties, future developments, etc. How can Exeter make our township more attractive? Tax structure, zoning. How about business growth and new businesses? What can we do to attract them? That was mentioned by a previous candidate also, and I agree 100%. And lastly, social responsibility. This is another, in my opinion, a little bit of a loaded question. Is our township and Board of Supervisors being socially responsible to our residents? Are we addressing the needs of our residents for public places to play, use, etc.? I hear a lot about fiscal responsibility, but it also needs to dovetail with what do our residents require. And I don't know the answer to that. It's a question. This is a hot topic with a number of residents when it came to recycling and the uses for the promenade and the planning that's going into it. What can we improve on for the residents? Do we have sufficient support for our police and firemen? We heard that earlier too, and I agree 100% with that. Is Reading Country Club review, is it benefiting Exeter residents? You know, how is it benefiting the Exeter residences? Again, I don't know the answer to that, but in my opinion, that's something that should be looked at closely. In closing, I thank you for allowing me to be a candidate and present my qualifications, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you, sir. At this time, is there any questions for Jack?
Hey, Jack, a couple. One, with your background, how do you see that helping with the planning at the promenade? And then I have a second one after you answer this one.
I was hoping somebody would ask that. Thank you, Joe. With my background, engineering background, construction background, I think I would be, oh my word, give me the set of drawings or the plans, and the Board of Supervisors, including myself, we'd have some nice long review sessions looking at it. And, you know, from a code end, that's straightforward. From a construction end, it's fairly straightforward. Are we getting the most bang for the buck? In other words, okay? And without going into a whole lot of examples, I really think I could be a big benefit when it comes to the promenade construction.
Thank you. You had mentioned the involvement with the gun club. Is that the one on chauffeurs?
Yes, it is.
So obviously, if you're following, you know that's kind of a hot button topic. How would you view that with your involvement as a board member?
I would have to recuse myself every time that subject would come up. Okay, and it would be very simple. That's an ethical requirement. It would be from a professional engineer. I could not participate in those discussions at all.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Well, okay. Well, Jack, thank you so much for your time, sir, and thanks for volunteering your time and energy to be involved in this process at this moment. And I truly appreciate your time and energy on this one. And have a good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you, Jack. Keep trying to get on one of those boards.
Okay. So I think we do have one last candidate, or did that person show up too?
Murray, actually, while we were on here, I received an email from Mr. Henderson, and he will not be attending tonight.
Okay, so I guess, is that all the candidates?
Yes, and that was the last candidate.
Okay. All right, so, go ahead.
Just wanted to know which candidate I missed.
You missed, sorry about that. You missed Mr. David Hughes.
Okay,
All right.
fine. Thank you.
So, The interviews have concluded, so motions can be entertained for an appointment to fill the vacancy. All deliberations, of course, are in public right now. So, is there any further things that we need to discuss at this moment? Greg, you're on mute. Greg, you're on mute.
Try again. I'd just like to thank the candidates for their presentations, taking the time to do that. And I want to point out, to me, the interviews are just one part of the process. Try to look at the big picture with this appointment. You know, with that in mind, I'd like to nominate Todd Arnold to fill the vacant position due to John Cusatis' resignation.
Yeah, this is Dave. Yeah, I agree with you, Greg. I mean, we had the interviews tonight. It's unfortunate that some people had conflicts or couldn't join. We had 3 candidates here and very close on a couple of those. You know, and this process is difficult. You know, if you pass one over, then you go to the next, that doesn't pass, and then you're back in the same area. So the interview is one part of the process. Look at credentials, experience, and public service. And yeah, I will put in a second for Todd Arnold.
So we have a second. All right.
And it's just, Yuri, I mean, these are always difficult situations, deliberating in public. I've been there. I know what it's like. And you certainly don't want to talk about people's qualifications and what they can and can't do and things like that. It's very difficult when you have a position that's coming in for 6 or 7 months, to add this. So it's, again, too, I don't want to get into individuals' qualifications, but I just do want to thank everyone that did take the time to speak tonight.
All right. Any other further discussion at all?
Are we going to vote on that first and then ask if there's any other candidates that we would like to?
Yeah, I think so. I guess we do put it up for a vote right now. Is that how it works?
Well,
Yeah.
before you do that, I would like to nominate Jack Piho. I can't pronounce his name right. I think he would bring a lot of experience that the township could use. He could help with definitely with the engineering. The engineering part is really important in the township. And I think he knows everything that he needs to know. He's experiencing it. And if the promenade does go ahead, his experience is can buy it. So I really think, I know it's for 9 months, but I think he could do a lot of educating within the township to help some of the employees understand stuff better. And I like Tom Arnold too. I mean, he's fabulous on the planning commission. But I'm looking about for infrastructure with the employees who would work the best. And that's why, excuse me, I'm recommending him.
I will second that motion.
And that was who, Joe Staub?
Yes.
Okay.
Liz, are we able to have 2 motions at the same time?
So what I believe we had is, just to clarify, you made a motion, Greg, to appoint Todd Arnold, and David seconded it. And then Michelle also came into the picture and said she would like to nominate Jack. And Joe seconded that. So what I think we need to do is entertain your motion first, and then we can go to Michelle's motion, and get a roll call for who is voting for who. So why don't we start with Greg's motion? He made a motion to appoint Todd Arnold. David, are you also seconded? You're in agreement with that motion, is that correct?
Yeah. I guess my question is, I mean, if you vote on both, I mean, you can only vote, I guess, on one. Positive for one.
That's correct. That's correct. So we have to see if, we have a majority here for Todd before we go to Jack. So, I believe that because Greg and David voted for Todd, Mr. Miller, are you?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I am. You get to say yay or nay, and then we'll go on to if we might not have to go on to the second nomination.
So I basically have to decide. Okay, got you.
You have to decide if you want to vote for Jack or Todd.
My view on this, and I'm going to be as a community member first. My personal feelings is I think that in terms of his qualifications and the what he's able to do in terms of his knowledge of zoning and the knowledge of the engineering and the licenses and things and the rules of this area, I think that Jack would be the better candidate at this time.
Okay. So you're going to say no to the motion for Todd Arnold, but you are in agreement with the motion for Jack. So just to clarify for the record again, Michelle, you made that motion to nominate Mr. Piho. Joe, you're again agreeing to second that?
Correct.
And Mr. Miller, you're also in agreement with that motion, correct?
Correct.
And I take it then just David and Greg, you're going to say no to that vote?
No, that's not the case.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would say not the case at all. Like I said, I had very, very, very close. I was seconding Greg on Todd Arnold, but I mean, Jack did a fantastic job as very well qualified. So very difficult choice, but I mean, I'd be very happy with either one.
Yeah, I will vote for Jack as well.
Okay, so that's great. So then, due to the fact that motion for Todd Arnold was defeated, you are all in agreement to appoint Mr. Piho. Is that correct, everyone?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. May the minutes reflect that then, Laurie, that everyone was in agreement to appoint Mr. Piho to fill the vacancy of the board member, Mr. Cusatis, that resigned.
Yes, I got it.
Okay. We can proceed with the meeting, Mr. Miller.
Thank you. Is there any public comments at this time?
There were none submitted.
None submitted? Then I will call this meeting to adjournment. I would like to say congratulations to Mr. Jack Piho for his area of, hopefully he can bring some very good expertise to the township. And I look forward to hopefully seeing some things about it, of him in the future. All right, thank you guys, and you guys all have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you very much, Harry. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Do we need
you.
to adjourn, or are we okay with that?
We are adjourned.
That's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Are we staying on now to the other meeting? The
Yes.
same link?
Yep, we're just going to stay right on here.
Okay, I'd like to call the Board of Supervisor meeting for April 26, 2021 to order. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
the United States of
of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Ms. Kircher,
Yeah.
Mr. Staub,
Here.
Mr. Spees,
Here.
and Mr. Gautier is here. Public comments.
There were none submitted.
Okay, regular approvals. We have the regular minutes from April 12th, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second.
Any comments or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
4-0 vote. Next, we have the special meeting minutes, April 20th, 2021.
Make a motion to approve the special meeting minutes for April 20th, 2021.
I'll second it.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0 vote. Next, we have disbursements. I think, Joe, you had sent in some questions.
Just a couple this week. Jen, please.
We don't have Jen yet on the meeting, looks like. Let's see if she's. Greg, do you want to come back to the disbursements and I will,
Okay, we'll move on to unfinished business. Because we'll need Jen for the treasurer's report as well.
Yeah.
All right, so we need to consider approving reimbursement agreement for Harvey Avenue with Mount Penn Borough Municipal Authority. Who has the information on that? Is that you, Jeff? Or is that Will? You're muted, Jeff. Jeff, you're muted.
Can I suggest we just hold up for one moment? It appears the rest of the staff is slowly getting on. I don't think they expect the meeting to start quite as fast.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that, the proper folks are there.
Absolutely. We want the right information.
I think we're on here.
got Clarence, he could probably talk about this.
Yeah. This is just a simple agreement. There's a water line being put in. It's a Mount Penn water line on Harvey, which is our road, except for the last 300-400 feet. So we're going to mill and pave the whole street, and Lower Alice is going to, the Mount Penn actually water is paying for it, is going to reimburse us for that little bit of 300 and some feet that we're going to do for them, for Lower Alice. That's what this is about. We've done this before. Otherwise, we would stop 300 feet from the end of the street.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion to approve the reimbursement agreement for Harvey Avenue?
I move that we approve the reimbursement agreement for Harvey Avenue with the Mount Penn Borough Municipal Authority in the amount of $10,843.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Any comments or questions?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0 vote. I see we have Jen back.
Oh, hey, Jen.
We are on disbursements, Jen.
Sorry about that. I was having computer issues. All right. You want me to go over the questions that Joe had?
Yeah, there's only a couple.
All right. Give me 1 second here. I'm getting through a piece of paper. There was 2 payments made to the Exeter tax collector for the Promenade property. So these are county and township real estate tax payments that we have to pay for that property. The question was also posed whether we could eventually go seek tax exempt status for this property. What I've been told is that once the township has a firm commitment to utilize this property for governmental purposes, then we can seek a tax exempt status through the Berks County Assessment Office. That would be for the next year's taxes. We will also be paying school district taxes later this summer on that property. We paid a bill of $2,034 to Fox Rothschild. This was for their work on the Travelers Bond claim. They prepared for and conducted a conference call with Travelers and their Travelers outside counsel. I think that was it.
That was it. Thanks, Jen.
Does anyone else have questions for Jen?
I have none.
Do we have a motion to approve the disbursements?
I move that we approve the disbursements for April 26, 2021 as submitted.
I'll second that.
Comments, questions?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? 4-0 vote. Next, the treasurer's report. I think there were there questions with that too, Joe?
I think there was just one. There was, it was with Clarence, the highway vehicle. There was bulk gasoline that was bracketed for $25,000, but yet the vehicle fuel oil was over budget. So it appears to me that it would just flip-flop codes. Jen, is that correct?
That is correct. They should be booked to the same expense jail, and we're going to investigate and correct that. That's just a booking error between the two. Joe, you had one other question about the transfers.
Oh yeah, the general fund transfer with the sewer. Yep.
Yes. So we have budgeted a transfer from what we are now calling the reserve fund to the general fund of $1.7 million for 2021. Just wanted to again go over that there's a misconception that this is wastewater sale proceeds that is coming into the general fund. That is not the case. These are actually payments made on past due sewer bills. So we have many residents that are making monthly payments on their past due bills that they have. And I've reviewed this before. We have people who owe $50. We have people that owe $13,000. So it's a variety of varied balances. But we have many residents who are making conscious efforts to make monthly payments on their past due bills. We also do every month receive payment in full for a lot of these accounts via, of course, people selling their homes. The proceeds of the sale pays off the balance, sheriff sales, and sometimes we do get a paid in full for a couple $1,000 personal payment from someone. So we are taking in money on that accounts receivable balance. This has nothing to do with the sale and the proceeds money that is sitting there.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Jen?
I have none.
No, thank you, Jen. I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report dated March 2021, subject to audit.
A second.
Okay, Michelle, second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? 4-0 vote. Next, on to new business. We have a request from Boy Scout Troop 319 to utilize the township property for their annual Mother's Day flower sale, May 6th through 9th.
If you recall, recently, the Boy Scouts did use the property. The board had authorized them to use the property, I believe, for Easter flower sales. It went very well. It was very well received. They have come back with a request to utilize the same location again. The reason asking the board to authorize this is because it is utilizing township property, and the board would have to waive the registration fee and the registration cost for the tent that they use. So at this point, I'd like to recommend that the board authorize this sale and waive the associated fees.
I have a question. Do we need harm? I can't talk.
Hold harmless.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Name it.
Yes, the Boy Scouts do have insurance that they provide us.
Right, thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Someone want to make a motion concerning the request?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve the request from the Boy Scout Troop 319 to utilize the township property for the Mother's Day flower sale, May 6th to May 9th. The last one they did at Easter, I thought went well. They sold out early. I think they did very well, and property looked clean and tidy, and everyone seemed very happy, at least when I stopped by there. So, yeah.
Do we have a second to the motion?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Oh, just Tim Morgan had dropped off a thank you to the township for the last time that we helped them out. So just wanted to share that with you as well.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0 vote. Next, consider approving installation of steps connecting the Dunn Community Center to the Exeter Community Library in the amount of $19,000. I believe that's Clarence.
On mute,
Clarence, you need to unmute yourself.
No? There you go.
Okay.
We had talked about this back at budget time with LG, and these were something we probably would have liked to have done this year, but we didn't put it in. We thought we would just wait till like for next year's budget. However, with the trail and the cost that we got, we were just curious. We did get two prices. The price for the to do it right now is $19,000. If he has a price that he's had for the last 2 months. If we wait, he's got to go back, and it goes up to $24,000. So, and then obviously next year it's going to be probably a lot more. The second bid was $26,000. So it's a really good price. I think it will work really well with the story walk time that the library is trying to put in. So we just thought we'd bring it up, and if something you guys are okay with, we would do it. This is the same gentleman that did the steps at the country club. He did a beautiful job over there, and he gave us a drawing and the whole 9 yards. So,
Laurie, you had mentioned to me something about your budget with regards to this.
Yes. So while we didn't budget specifically to include this year because we had planned for other projects, when I completed the budget, I did not expect to be awarded the DCNR grant for Pineland Park. So I budgeted to pay for the entirety of that project out of the park fund. But now we're only spending 50% of that money. So that would free up the money in the budget out of the park fund to do this improvement that we would have asked to do next year. But we also didn't know at budget time that we were going to be doing the library story walk. So I think that it will all work. We can pay for it out of the park fund, and I think that this would be a great time to do it because it's only going to get more expensive.
But to clarify, Laurie, the money, the appropriation would be where it was already planning on being spent. We're just going to appropriate it over to the library. And to Clarence, is there lumber involved in this thing?
yes.
Yeah.
That's
Folks, I'm telling you, what's going on with the cost of lumber?
that's what
Right
that's
now, it is insane. I mean,
1924.
that could be 50,000 next year. The way it's
crazy.
It's like cryptocurrency.
Okay, do we have a motion concerning this? All right, I'll make a motion to approve the installation of the steps connecting the Dunn Community Center to the Exeter Community Library in the amount of $19,000.
I will second that. And yeah, Clarence, thanks. I mean, they did a fabulous job, I think, on the other steps. And
Yeah, they did.
beyond the money here, I think this is a safety aspect of people going between the two things. So it's just something that's very prudent.
Yeah, and this is something you also had talked about is utilizing the Dunn barn with the library and the library with the Dunn barn as well.
Yeah.
So this connects it.
Yeah, you don't have people hiking up the hill.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0 vote. Next, we have the approval of the Exeter Township Volunteer Fire Department Tax Credit Program list. Who has information on that?
I'd like to just a quick update on it, how it came to be calculated.
Sure.
Yeah, if I can address if you would like.
Yes, please.
Okay, sure. Just pulling up the spreadsheet here. So the list of individuals was submitted to us. Actually, I should say the applications of each individual was submitted to the township via the fire department. So people can either, if they meet the requirement and the criteria, they can put in for earned income tax rebate and also the township real estate tax reimbursement program. So we had a total of, let me see here, 14 people this year who submitted for one or the other or both. The total we will be reimbursing to folks is, let's see here, $2,941 for earned income tax, and then $763.30 for real estate tax reimbursement, and that's from general fund tax, fire service tax, and debt service tax, all three of them added together. So we are looking for approval of this list so that we can present the payments in the disbursement list at the next meeting, the May 10th meeting.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion concerning this?
I move that we approve the Exeter Township Volunteer Fire Department Tax Credit Program list as submitted.
I'll second it.
Any comments or questions?
Just one clarifying item. I know there was a question before this, and we talked about this a couple months ago about increasing the percentage for the real estate tax piece. This is for 2020 taxes, so this stands at the 15% reimbursement. The list we present next year will be up to the 50%.
Okay,
Thanks
you.
for that clarification.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0 vote. Next, consider change orders for the Hilldale Road Sewer Improvements Project.
I can address this item. Hope everybody can hear me.
Yep,
Yes.
you can.
Okay. Okay. The first change order is for an extension of time for the contract. We've been having some difficulty with MedEd and PA American. As you may be aware, we spent a lot of time in advance having utility coordination meetings, having their lines marked, getting depths and so forth. When this went to construction, PA American realized that their water main was marked incorrectly. Not sure if they picked up on a detection wire from the UGI gas line, but the water main is on the other side of the street, which really created a major problem with our storm sewer design and so forth, and with the contractor. So additional time had to be spent to do exploratory probes, digging, trying to find the exact water main location and some redesign. The time extension has been presented to us by the contractor due to some of the delays that have been caused with MedEd having to replace their whole entire line, which originally they were just going to relocate those areas in question. Our recommendation to the board is to grant them their request, which is an additional 44 days to the contract time of 75 days, which will have a total contract time of 119 calendar days, which will take us to June 30th of 2021. I feel this is a reasonable request, and I do recommend to the board to consider giving this time extension based on these delays that have been out of our control.
Okay, so we have two requests. We're just dealing with the first request.
Oh, yeah, that was change order number one. If the board, I can explain.
Let's do them individually here,
okay.
Jeff.
Sounds good.
Okay, so are there any questions about the time extension?
No.
Do we have a motion for, I'll make a motion to approve a change order for Hilldale Road Sewer Improvement Project, time extension of 44 days due to the lack of utility coordination and lead time for materials.
I'll second it.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0 vote. Okay, now the
Thank
second
you.
one, Joe.
Yes, the second change order is actually for additional cost from the contractor for the excavation for the exploratory probes. Our contract was written so that some of these costs we were going to assist PA American. However, with the entire water main being at a different location, a lot of additional excavation, exploratory probes was required by the contractor, as well as for Med Ed. Med Ed decided they needed to replace their entire line. They were looking at also services going beyond the curb, which was not in our original, I'll say, scope of work in our utility coordination with these, both Med Ed and PA American. The total amount is $20,570. It's also been documented. We met with the contractor. We went over all the areas of the excavation. They did provide us a spreadsheet. We did review the areas, and we feel this price is I'll say not the price is reasonable, but the quantity is reasonable based on the extent of work. What we would suggest is the township could also have PA American reimburse the township for these expenses at their discretion. Something that's out of our jurisdiction, more or less, because of this work was not to be encountered. They have admitted that the water main was not marked correctly, and actually we had to do all the exploratory. They were not going to do any of the work for us. So we had a contractor who was ready to lay storm water pipes. So a lot of these additional delays and costs were to determine the exact location of that water main. The water service doesn't make any necessary adjustments to our proposed storm line to facilitate these conflicts. And based on our review, we are recommending contract change order number 2 for the amount of $20,570.
So, Jeff, are we going to be able to get reimbursed by PA American?
Yes, that was the discussion with Clarence and Joe and I when we talked about this, that we would be notifying them because of the delay caused on their part and the additional work that was no fault of the township or the contractor, that we would be going for reimbursement from PA American.
Have we contacted them?
They are aware of the situation. Actually, when we had our pre-construction meeting is when they discovered the water main was incorrectly located. They did have actually 2 representatives of PA American at our office with the contractor as well as with Clarence, and they're aware of the situation. We did inform them that it's going to be some additional costs, and I think that's something we can either deal with it as a permit fee or just a direct reimbursement. But they are aware that this situation has occurred. As a matter of fact, their subcontractor will be on site tomorrow to deal with some other conflicts. So there will be some costs that they're aware of that will be coming their way.
I guess my biggest concern is how can we be sure they're going to pay us back? Are we covered with this, Liz?
I didn't get to talk to Joe about this at all, but what I would recommend is just drafting a simple reimbursement agreement for them to execute, which we've done in the past with these types of situations. I'm sure Joe would agree that we could coordinate with his office.
I agree, and there's a chance there could be some additional costs based on the water line. A lot of their depths were not correct. This information was provided to us. We've had numerous utility meetings. It's pretty much a 180 from Butter Lane. Butter Lane, we had a lot of utility meetings in advance, and that job for the most part, I'll say worked well with the utilities. We had no problems whatsoever and no delays. I mean, we had some other delays due to other circumstances, but not based on utilities. So I agree with Liz. I think we would submit something in writing to them, maybe something similar to what we've had for Mount Penn Borough Water Authority, where we can do a reimbursement agreement that then we can get signatures and proper documentation.
Yeah, good point, Greg. I mean, I agree that I think we should wait for that agreement.
Yeah, I just have concerns about this.
One question, Liz, could you create a motion with the change order based on the reimbursement agreement being signed?
Sure, you could condition that on the reimbursement agreement being signed.
Joe, what are your thoughts there?
I agree. I think that at least we'll get the ball rolling with the proper paperwork that we can submit to PA American. And if we make a contingent and they agree to it, then we can process the change order number 2.
I'm fine with what Joe's saying. I just want to make sure we get reimbursed on this.
Want me to give it a shot?
Joe.
Okay, I move that we approve the change order for the Hilldale Road Sewer Improvement Project in the amount of $20,570 for additional excavation, subject to a reimbursement agreement with PA American Water.
I'll second that.
Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? 4-0 vote. Department.
Thank you.
Public Works.
Yes, as far as what we've been doing the last couple of weeks, street sweeping is completed. Working on Daniel Boone Road, getting that ready for the chip process. We're also working on the library trail and doing some longbow mowing. That's about it.
All right, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, got one more.
One more, okay.
We have a request from the Mount Penn Fire Company to use the giant lot for EVOC training May 15th and the 16th.
I think with these requests, we should be just handling them the way we have requests with any other facilities. I know we approved the Boy Scout thing, but there we were waiving a fee, correct?
Correct.
So I think from now on, let's just take these requests to Jeff or Laurie. I'm not sure who handles those approvals. And if they feel like it needs to come to us, we can do that. How do the other supervisors feel about that?
I would agree, Greg, if it's not waiving a fee and it's just a decision by Clarence, Jeff, and Laurie, or whatever, the administration. If it's a waiving of a fee or something like that, then it should come to the board.
Michelle, you okay?
Well, the only thing that I want to make sure of is that what Dave said, that that we have it done, that the supervisors are aware of it, even if we're not bringing it up before the board. So we know at least what's going on, if anyone has any questions.
Joe, you good with it?
I'm fine with it as long as it be covered in the department reports.
It's a good way.
Okay, thank you. Engineering.
Everything I had, I pretty much covered under my under the change order for the update of the Hilldale. Like I said, things are moving slower than we expected, but hopefully we'll start seeing some more progress. Other than that, everything else I think has been covered by the agenda, and I have no other further comments unless anybody has any questions. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next is Chief Morris there.
Yeah, I think I'm here. I think I worked out some technical difficulties I was having earlier. I'm on my phone, so if you can see me, I'm here. I made it.
We can see you.
I don't have much, just that we had a truck detail last week. We hosted a multi-jurisdictional commercial vehicle inspection detail. We had we inspected 25 commercial vehicles. We put 4 trucks and 1 operator out of service due to various violations. We issued 52 citations, in total over $6,000 worth of fines. So it was a very successful detail. Some of you might have seen WFMZ featured Exeter Police Department as we conducted an education detail concerning Pennsylvania's move over law, which goes into effect tomorrow. If those not familiar with move over law, it requires drivers approaching an emergency response area who are unable to safely merge into the opposite lane to slow down to at least 20 miles less than the posted speed limit. The new law, which goes in effect tomorrow, creates additional penalties and fines for people who violate it. So it's an important piece, and I'm glad we had an opportunity to be featured on the television there through WFMZ. Last week we conducted over 30 oral interviews for our police officer vacancy, and we had some really outstanding candidates. Some officers who are already working for police departments in other jurisdictions showed up, and we were really pleased with the turnout. And we have, I know we only have limited vacancies, but we have at least 10 to 12 people that would fit in outstanding with the police department. So we were really pleased with the turnout and the quality candidates that showed up for the process. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Liz, do you have anything?
No, not for this evening.
Jeff?
I just have one item. We were notified today by the Department of Community and Economic Development. Recently, the board has been hearing about the requirement to submit a financial report, an annual financial report to DCED. That had been submitted and was advertised in the local newspaper as required. We received notification this morning that our report was approved by DCED. If you remember last year, because of COVID, the timing of when it was submitted for last year, which was for 2019, that coincided right around the time when everything shut down because of COVID. And those reports for the year 2019 were not approved until the first quarter of 2021. So the report that just got approved was for the year 2020, and it was submitted, and here we are a very short time later. It's actually been approved by DCED. So we are in good shape with that, and our auditors will continue doing the additional audit work that they do for the township. That's all I have this evening.
Okay, thank you. Public comment.
There were none submitted.
Okay, supervisor reports. Ms. Kircher.
Just want to remind people that since the weather's getting nice, to be careful, be safe, wear a helmet if you're riding bikes, and have a good time.
Thank you. Mr. Staub.
Yeah, a couple things. One, just to give some background on the real estate market in Exeter. I'd heard some folks that, hey, people are moving out of Exeter. Actually, people are moving into Exeter. There is only, as of Wednesday, there were 27 properties listed for sale in Exeter. And of those, 3 were coming soon, and 6 were lots for new construction. And when I checked today, 3 of those are already active and under contract. So there is not a lot of property for sale in Exeter. So I did want to share that with everybody that seems that, and again, the real estate market is hot, but basically having 20 homes for sale is something else. Reminder that on Saturday, the the Reading Country Club's having a big tournament. It's called the Heritage, and they will have their inaugural Hall of Fame class. So there's some very impressive names. And then one other thing, there was a young man that played in a tournament, I believe it was last week. His name is Matthew Vital. I hope I pronounced that right. He made the national news because he set the course record shooting 62. Broke Sam Snead's record from, I believe, in the 40s. So this young man has the lowest score in the history of the Reading Country Club, 62. So congratulations to him. And he was playing with his brother, by the way. So quite very, very impressive. And that's it for me. And again, thank you for the individuals that spoke this evening, that took their time to interview. Thank you very much.
Mr. Spees.
Yeah, and thanks, Joe and Greg. And Michelle. Thanks. Just want to thank all the candidates for taking the time that we're able to attend tonight. And just want to thank Jeff and Laurie for the juggling the changes and everything for getting that in order. That's all.
Okay, and I agree. I would like to thank all the candidates and welcome Jack to the board and look forward to working with him. I also want to just thank the school district and the township. This past Saturday, we had the fourth Saturday of April food drive, and it was extremely successful. I'm anticipating that we'll be able to give all the food pantry recipients an extra bag of food for the next 3 months due to that food drive. So for everyone who donated or volunteered, we had over 30 volunteers. I want to thank all of them. At this point, do we have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Michelle seconds.
I'll second it.
Comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0 vote. Good night, everyone.
All right.
Good night.